How concerned are you about the border crisis that now a lot of the corporate media is actually starting to report on? Because it's something you can't not see when they're filling up various shelters across the border, where you've got the governors of some of these border communities, including in Florida, where they're busing these migrants to different places, including Chicago. But also you've got the issue of Title 42, which is a Trump-era policy that allowed for immigration officials to expel migrants who entered the U.S. during a public health emergency, like we have with COVID-19. I think the Biden administration is continuing that health emergency, so why not have Title 42 continue? Well, Title 42 had 19 states file a lawsuit to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to block the end of Title 42. Again, Title 42 is a Trump policy that allowed for immigration officials to turn migrants around at the border because of a health crisis, but it's set to be lifted. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Roberts, temporarily putting a stay on that. And what that means is they're pausing any action moving forward temporarily. So the stay is in place while they continue to hash this out, but I don't know if that's going to stop the flow of migrants coming across the border. And of course, we'll go to Twitter to just look at some of the recent sound that there is about where people are standing on this. And I want to hear from you as well. Here with Springfield's Morning News at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number again, 217-629-7970. You can email bishoponair@gmail.com. We can connect that way. So the White House, they're reacting to this, the border crisis. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre talking about the White House and what they're doing about the border crisis. As Buck Sexton, who you hear here on these airwaves from 11 to 2 with Clay Travis, he highlights one particular part of what the White House has to say about the border crisis.
It would be wrong to think that the border is open. It is not open. And I just want to be very, very clear about that.
We're meeting here just minutes after, as Darlene pointed out,
It would be wrong to think that the border is open. It is not open. And I just want to be very, very clear about that.
So they say it's not open, but you look at other reports, and indeed it very much is a significant problem that is having to be dealt with. Even ABC News having to highlight this this morning with various reports. But the way they also characterize the messaging of is the border open in a recent interview that ABC had with Texas Governor Greg Abbott. This is with the reporter seeming to blame Greg Abbott and others, including Ron DeSantis down in Florida, for the messaging saying that the border is open. And again, Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis are opposed to the border policy from President Joe Biden. So here's a bit of the characterization of sorts of an ABC reporter talking with Greg Abbott.
You talk about the border wall, you talk about open borders. I don't think I've ever heard President Biden say, we have an open border, come on over. But people I have heard say it are you, are former President Trump, or Ron DeSantis. That message reverberates in Mexico and beyond. So they do get the message that it is an open border, and smugglers use all those kinds of statements.
It was known from the time that Joe Biden got elected that Joe Biden supported open borders. It is known by the cartels who have sophisticated information whether or not the Biden administration is going to enforce the immigration laws or not.
So Greg Abbott responding to that, saying that the border is open because of the president's policies. And just how much? Just in the past 2.5 weeks, we've got the El Paso and Del Rio sector in Texas counting over 70,000 migrants crossing the border. Those are apprehensions, and an additional 28,900 who evaded arrest. So that's just from December 1st to December 19th. You're talking an estimated of nearly 100,000 people crossing just that particular sector of El Paso and Del Rio. So this is an obvious issue, and it's causing some to consider what's the breaking point, including in California, where Gavin Newsom reportedly visited the border and said that the California sanctuary state policies causing taxpayers to pay roughly $1 billion over the past 3 years to support health and safety of those migrants crossing the border. But some other headlines up in Chicago. Salvation Army hosted a holiday party for Venezuelan migrants, with the Chicago Bears making a $5,000 donation, and those migrants celebrating their first Christmas in Chicago, while some other Democrat-run cities declaring emergencies amid a surge of migrants crossing the border illegally. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. You can always chime in live and local at 217-629-7970, or you can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. Let's take a look at Springfield's dependable 5-day forecast, where you've got some frigid weather coming and a winter storm a-brewing. And here's what it's going to look like. We've got a high of 36 today with partly sunny skies. Then the high of 34 Wednesday, mostly cloudy. Wednesday night, where things are going to start getting interesting. Chance of snow after midnight, the low of 29, and then warming up to a high of 33 by Thursday morning early, but the temperature's going to drop to the teens throughout the day, with up to 2 to 4 inches of snow possible and wind gusts up to 37 miles an hour. Overnight, snow likely, with winds up to 45 miles an hour. Friday, blowing snow with a high of only 2. And winds up to 48 miles an hour. Saturday, we're looking at more blowing snow with patchy snow, the high of only 8. And then for Christmas Day, the high of 14, mostly sunny. So it looks like we are going to have a white Christmas. Now, 6:49, about 32 degrees from Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply at Culver's West on Wabash. We're hiring all positions. And did we mention free food? Only at Culver's West on Wabash.
Anxiety. There's plenty of it to go around for just about everyone these days. But the question is, how are you dealing with it? Anxiety